Okay, we're live. A little rusty here. I'm upgraded to Windows 11. Don't know if I told you that.
Oh no. How's it going?
Pretty good so far.
All right. Yeah, great. Yeah, I can tell.
OBS did crash once on me before the show. I'm sure it'll be fine during the show.
Totally
though.
Fine. Yeah.
Oh, I should probably turn on some
Possibly go
lights
wrong.
so people can see me. So just seeing like dark Briar in the background.
And Briar just sulks in the background.
I'm just so depressed. I'm so emo. I'm just gonna be here in dark. Yeah, I'll grow a goatee and just be like the bad version of me.
just a little like a black mustache. Yeah. A monocle.
Jay, how you been, man? What you been up to?
Good. Freshly shaved head. Nothing feels quite like it.
Look at that. That's clean,
nice,
brother.
Shiny. Otherwise good. Just trying to skirt the line of not being super anxious about everything in life, and then also try to let the kids experience certain things in life. Wiferton took Theo to swimming over the weekend for the first time since
not a good place for a mask.
No. Just like waterboarding yourself. It'll be fine, son. You'll be fine. I can't breathe. It's a mask. You're fine.
It's mandated, goddammit.
Yeah. But I was like, there's chlorine. It's just got to be clean, right? The other alternative was taking him to like a one of those like kids playgrounds with ball pits, and I was like, no, that's a germ infested, crusty. No thanks.
Those are known to be germ infested since like I was a kid, right?
Yes. I imagine they have better. Like they probably clean it once a day, like at the end of the day. But during
how
the day,
do you clean a ball pit?
Just
you like take each individual ball.
But otherwise we're good. You know, just living life, trying to survive, all that good stuff. How have you been, man?
Okay. My wife woke me up with the sweet words in my ear. The bathroom fan is broken. So that's been my day.
Ours is always, you turn it on and there's nothing.
Yeah.
And then like 30 seconds later, it's like,
Gonna get going?
It's like, is it gonna go? Is it gonna go this time? Or is it gonna, yeah.
So you'd be surprised. The world of bathroom fans has really progressed.
Mm-hmm.
I bought one today. It was expensive. I thought it was expensive, but it wasn't the most expensive one. It's about $130, and it came with a humidity sensor as well as a motion detector, which is nice and a timer. So like it will, if it senses humidity, it will automatically turn on, right? And it won't turn off until the humidity is below a certain threshold, which you can set. It's got a set, like a dial.
Has it got like an app too?
No app. But what's nice about it is that like if you have people in your house who don't give a fuck about the paint on the walls in the bathroom, then this will just run no matter if they turned it on or not. And it will stay running until the bathroom is of an appropriate humidity, and then it will automatically shut off. It's goddamn marvelous.
I just picture Briar in the bathroom in the middle of the night. He's just taking a dump, and then all of a sudden...
Oh, that's the other thing. It's very quiet. The new ones are very quiet.
Oh.
However, I wired it into a switch that was pre-existing, and the switch does not turn it off.
Is it connected to your Mister?
No.
You can control it with an NES controller.
That'd be nice. That's not a bad idea.
As soon as you said switch, I was like, "Oh, here we go, Briar with the switches again."
Yeah, it was. So I'm gonna have to investigate the wiring in the wall. Why the switch doesn't seem to affect whether the thing turns on or off. I suspect that it was just wired in wrong. The switch, however many years ago, was just wired in wrong.
Are you a handyman person that can do that, or are you gonna?
I have access to YouTube. As long as you know to turn off the circuit breaker, you're usually not going to hurt yourself. right?
Unless you're in a house like me where the ground wire is not actually connected to a ground.
Oh.
I changed one of those what are those outlets called? The ones that are like the main outlets, not MDMA, it's like some acronym. So basically there's GMCI outlet, I think is what it's
GFCI?
GFCI. Yeah,
GFCI?
okay. So I
Yeah.
changed one of those because it like the entire wall in the kitchen, like the outlets weren't working, and somebody suggested that. So I was like, all right, I'll give it a shot. Turn off the circuit breaker. Hot wire was fine, cold wire was fine, ground wire.
Oh, man.
So yeah, it was bad. I shocked myself good and plenty twice, and I felt alive, like I could feel my heart beating. I was like, this is
Woo. That'll get you
great.
up in the morning.
I don't have like good work gloves, so I had to use these like rubber kitchen gloves that had holes in the fingers. So I was like trying to like it was bad, Briar. I was like, this needs to get done today.
Yeah.
I'm still here though, so
That's good. I'm glad to hear it. Working with electricity can be dangerous.
yes.
It's good to. I have an electrician. I went to high school with an electrician. He wasn't an electrician when I went to high school with him, but he became one. And
how's it going, Bob? Oh, another
whenever
day on
I'm
the
in,
job.
whenever I feel like I'm in too deep, I just shoot a picture of what I'm doing and text it to him.
And he starts to panic.
Yeah,
He's like,
if he gets back to me right away, then I know I'm in trouble. If I don't hear back for a couple hours, I think I'm okay.
I just picture the how do you do kids guy going to your high school, as an electrician. How do you do, fellow kids?
How do you do, fellow children? Yeah, I mean, I'm not especially handy, but I'd rather try to do something myself and fail than pay somebody $500 and
Just to come out.
he's in and out in a half an hour. I'm like, what the fuck? I don't know. We got retro news. You want to talk about it?
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of good stuff. No huge news, I suppose, but a lot of little trinkets here and there. Majora's Mask coming to Nintendo Switch, the expansion pack in February this month. They didn't say. I couldn't find the exact date.
I don't think they've said the exact date yet.
Said February. We're in February, so
yeah,
time is upon us.
Nintendo's like, I heard there's no good video games coming out in February. How about we hook you up?
Yeah.
Thanks, Nintendo.
Have you played Majora's Mask?
Yeah, I own a copy actually. But I'll probably fiddle around with it on the expansion, whatever it's called, the Switch. What is it called? Switch expansion pack?
Expansion pack. Have you bought it yet?
Yeah, I own
it. With disdain.
Yeah. It's like, especially when we do the show like we do and we're always picking games to play, when they are available on Switch, it's always like, oh, nice, I can play it on Switch, I can play it portably.
Sure.
That's actually one of the reasons I'm really looking forward to getting the Steam Deck, so because I'm positive that thing's going to be a retro emulation beast, right?
I just canceled my pre-order.
Ooh, why?
I was like, it's $600.
Oh, it's only that much if you buy the most expensive one.
I had the most expensive one on pre-order. I was like, I have a laptop with a 1070 in it. We have a Switch. I don't leave the house much. I was like, I have the analog pocket now. I was like, I just don't see I don't know. I was hard pressed when I first pre-ordered. I was like, if I don't pre-order it, odds are I won't get one. But it seems like pre-orders are still pretty readily available.
Yeah, they're just getting pushed out like
for a later release, kind of like how Pocket did. But I just couldn't see myself actually using it, making use of it. So I was just like,
Well, one of the things I'm hoping to use it for is for emulation, so I can like load up some games that we're gonna, if we're gonna play, let's say Majora's Mask. Well, that's a bad example because it's gonna be on the Switch, but let's say Blaster Master, right? Blaster Master is not on the Switch, the NES pack. It should be, but it's not, unfortunately. Yeah. So it was either I have the cartridge, I could play it up in the office, but it'd be nice to play these games, portably, and the Pocket isn't going to offer NES games anytime soon, as far as I can tell. So hopefully the The Steam Deck will. Also, all the other games that I have on Steam or that I'm planning on buying on Steam. I like playing games on the couch portably while my wife is watching TV or whatever.
Yeah. To that argument, I have 2 Vitas already. Like, I
Yeah.
could mod one of the Vitas, and that would be a great solution.
Yeah, I did that. I
I
have a
wanted to do
modded
that.
Vita. I don't like it, to be honest.
Just screen not big enough for the controls. The controls are
I've
tiny.
never liked the control. The Vita is not a comfortable system for me because I have big hands and that thing is really tiny. So my hands cramp when I'm using it. I think that problem could be solved by buying grips. I don't think it's that big a deal. It's just the jankiness of the hacked Vita that I don't really like.
Sure. Yeah, having to load up, like, side load the firmware and all that stuff. It's never.
Yeah. So yeah, Majora's Mask. You gonna check it out when it comes out on Switch?
I will. It's funny. I've never played it. I
Oh, okay.
played Ocarina of Time when it was on the N64 back in the day. Probably put a good dozen or so hours into it. Nothing crazy. I didn't beat it, but I rarely beat games when I was younger. I don't know what it was, but I was kind of a fly-by-night gamer. Kind of played a
Yeah.
lot of games for a few hours. I mean, we weren't really allowed to buy games, so we rented a lot of games for the weekend. So I really only had the weekend to play. So it was kind of
Yeah.
hard to beat a lot of
Hard to
games
beat
like
a
that.
Zelda game in a weekend.
Right. But I mean, I enjoyed my time with it. If they upscale it a little bit the way that they've been doing with like Banjo-Kazooie and stuff, I think definitively that would be a good way to play
Yeah.
because it's hard to play the old N64 stuff still.
Yeah.
Did you
Nintendo's come out and said that they're about halfway through this console cycle.
halfway through the Switch? It's already
Yeah.
been, it's been like what, 4 years, 5 years now already?
Yeah. That would
Wow.
mean like a new Nintendo console coming out in like 2026.
They've got to have some kind of Switch revision by then. Another one though.
Yeah.
Think.
Over the OLED? You think like a Pro?
I don't know. I don't know. It's a good question.
Do you think when we get the next Nintendo console, do you think the expansion pack will come with it, or the Switch Online games that they've
No.
developed? You think that
No.
it'll just be
No.
on the Switch?
It'll always be separate in my opinion. Because like think about the way that the $20 one was, and every other system as far as like Xbox, you still have to pay for Game Pass and Live separately, and PSN and all. That's just how it is now.
Yeah.
That's how they can recoup some of their losses on development dollars. I think at this point, like that's how they're doing it.
I was mad that you couldn't bring your I can't remember what it was called when you could buy. Remember you could buy like
Virtual console.
virtual console games.
Yeah, that was.
I was mad that you couldn't transfer those over to the Switch. I thought that was bullshit. But when they announced
100%.
that they were going to have this live service and it was going to be, how it is, I was like, okay, that's fine. But I imagine that they'd expand it more over the years than they have. I imagine more games coming out for it than.
Yeah, I do like how, because before the expansion pack came out with the N64 games, there was no way to get N64 games, or at least a lot of them on the Switch that were available on the Wii and the Wii U.
Yeah.
It's like, how can you have them on the virtual console on those consoles and not available on the eShop on Switch? That doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah.
So they're bringing a lot of those. Like one example would be, I think Donkey Kong 64 was available before, and it was something Wiferton wanted to play. And I was like, oh, maybe it's on the Switch store. We could buy it for like $8, but no, it's not there.
No.
So that always blew my mind. Like, why would you have them then not able to transfer or buy anymore? Just odd to me.
I don't know. I wonder if they think of themselves as like kind of like. Do you remember what Disney used to do with VHSs of their movies? Is they would only release them periodically, and then they would take them off the market to like kind of increase demand. So like if you wanted Pocahontas on VHS, then chances are that you had to kind of pay attention to when it would be available, and then it would only be available for a limited time, and they would take all the copies off the market, or they would sell out of them, and then you'd have to wait, maybe years to get a copy.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't put that past Nintendo. Nintendo's been known for that.
Yeah.
Like consoles, Amiibo, the NES, SNES classics. They do like a giant print run through a certain amount of things, and then they just stop carrying it for a good chunk of time. Analog, but Analog's a smaller company. So I wouldn't put it past them if that was their marketing strategy. Did you see this next story? Did you look at it?
No, I didn't. What's
So
this? What's going on here?
somebody hooked up 9 small LCDs. Think about like the size of a Game Boy screen. Hooked up 9 of them with like looks like a wire frame, and then had like a custom output from a Game Boy to go to those 9 LCD screens. So it's like he had to like power all the LCD screens. There's like multiple circuit boards here, and it's kind of like outputting to a TV, but it's outputting to a bunch of Game Boy screens. And it seems kind of pointless, but also interesting at the same time. His name is KGSWS on Twitter, and it looks like he's using a Raspberry Pi. And, he took them from 9 Game Boy screens and hooked them all up to be an output for one. So they're actual Game Boy LCDs. And if you watch the video, like it's hard to watch because it's really blurry. Like the motion blur of the screens is very prevalent. Yeah. It's just, jeez.
Those screens were terrible.
Yeah. But,
the pandemic has affected us all in different ways, I suppose.
I just got to do something. I wish I had the technical, like, this is like a portfolio piece almost.
Sure. Yeah.
At that point. Speaking of like old school gaming, Tetris used to be on the Game Boy. Somebody made an AI that is able to go all the way to the end of Tetris on NES to the point where it broke. So, I think he was able to get, God, how many hundreds of millions of points?
102 million.
102 million, which the highest human score is 1.5 million at level 29, and he got to like level 237 102 million. And I actually watched through the majority of this video. He scrolls through and skips a lot. It's a Stack Rabbit AI. His name is Greg Cannon, and it's a really interesting video because he can skip chunks, and then he gets to points where like it doesn't even count using numbers anymore. It starts using letters and symbols, and then it starts using like sprites from the game because it just runs out of characters to use. And it's just really interesting to look at how, the developers never planned for this to ever actually happen.
Yeah, it's impressive to me that the code for Tetris can actually handle it. Yeah. So a lot of games would run into kill screens if you just kind of played them to affinity.
Well, that's what this is called. It's a kill screen starting at like level 20 is the kill screen. Really? And he gets up to, yeah. So at a certain point towards the end, you start listening and the sound gets all garbled and scratchy. And he's like, you can hear the sound getting just like, the game just having a hard time. It's not able to keep up. But basically it plays pretty much picture perfect Tetris for 237 levels, which is insane. However, how many lines was it? It was a lot of lines.
I don't know. I'm watching it and it's still waiting for that fucking one straight block with the 4 blocks.
Yeah.
Every time, man. That fucking straight block never comes.
And the original NES Tetris, you couldn't like hold a piece either. You had to work with what you got.
Yeah.
So I thought that was interesting. We both had this next story, and it was tweeted at us as well. Thank you for this. Save the Hero Project ROM dump, which devices like this have been created before for like SNES, Genesis, N64, all that stuff. This seems like a more comprehensive device that can ROM dump because it's got SNES, NES, N64, Mega Drive, Genesis, and all of Game Boy games, Game Boy Advance, Game Boy Color.
Yeah.
And it looks like it's got a memory card slot too, so you can potentially dump these onto a memory card.
Yeah, you can also do save game manipulation, save game backup, save game manipulation.
Yeah.
Save game.
So, sorry.
Go ahead.
The idea of this, for those who don't know what it is, basically it's a little machine. It kind of looks like a Mister, kind of. kind of a hacked together circuit board with inputs and cart spots where you can hook it up to a PC and dump your ROMs and your saves. So this is a perfectly legal way to emulate on other devices. So if you rip your own stuff, if you save your own saves, it's perfectly legal for games that you own. Um, so it's 100% legal. It also is a way to save backups of your saves for games that have battery backups, because those batteries are going to die if they haven't already.
Yeah.
So for somebody who's really stuck on, somebody that has like a Pokemon save with like all the Pokemon or stuff that people have spent thousands of hours on, like this is a great source, great option to save those backups and stuff.
Yeah.
So it is. Global sales are going to open soon. It looks like it's going to be about $90 to $100. It's going to be sold in Japan. It's a Japan-based Save the Hero project. They funded it via Kickstarter. It's fully funded, and I think they're going to announce when there's going to be public sales at some point, because they're kind of in between Kickstarter and public sales at this point.
Yeah.
But you can follow along with the project on Kickstarter if you'd like, on the Save the Hero project on Kickstarter.
They also, it doesn't have an NES cartridge slot, but they have kind of mentioned that they think they'll have an adapter for the NES.
Really?
Yeah.
That seems odd to me. You would think, well, I mean, I guess there's not a ton of NES games that had saves, but there was a good chunk.
Yeah.
Zelda, all those, those games had saves.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting. So if you're interested in backing up your games or your save files, it seems like a really cool option to do it. People are still developing for it, which is nice. Some of these projects kind of get created and then just kind of left behind.
Mm-hmm.
And it's pretty affordable. It's pretty powerful.
Yeah, I had a Retroed for a bit, and it was like
Yeah.
$150 or $200 just for the base unit. And then you had to buy all the expansions. It was just a whole headache.
Yeah.
This is more comprehensive setup, which is nice. I have not downloaded this game, but I know a lot of y'all either play or roll your eyes every time you see it on Twitter. Wordle is now available to play on Game Boy. So bust out your old Game Boys, bust out your analog pockets, load up Wordle, and have a really painfully fun time.
Doesn't this seem like an awful way to play it? Because you'd have to
scroll through the letters and shit. Yeah, no thanks. There's also a picture of somebody that put it on a Palm Pilot, which I was like, that's amazing.
That's a better idea because it's got the touch. You can write the letter, because the Palm Pilot had that character recognition software.
Yeah.
I'd rather have that. I'd rather have a dedicated Palm Pilot for Wordle.
Right. Have you played this game?
Yeah, it's a fun game.
I haven't played it yet. I just, every time I see it on Twitter, I'm like, I don't know what these little green squares are.
Oh.
You're just trying to tempt me into downloading another thing.
Oh, you don't have to download it. It's like a web page you go to.
Okay.
New York Times bought it though, so they'll probably turn it into something that you download and pay money for.
It needs to be an app and something you can share in game. Keep it all in game, please. Thanks. I'm just kidding. It's fine. People enjoy it. They enjoy it.
That's fun that somebody made a Game Boy game out of it. I'm with you though. The Palm Pilot is cooler.
Yeah, 100%. This next one is dope. So it is from Seth A. Robinson. It's called the Holo VCS, and you can play retro games on a Holo display. So
this looks so awesome.
Yeah, like a looking glass display. I had never seen this before. So look what a looking glass display is. It's like a holographic display that you can use to make photos, little videos and things like that. Basically have some depth to them. So it adds drop shadows and stuff. And it looks like Seth created kind of an app that used some of the assets and created a 3-dimensional kind of filter for this looking glass. And
if you've ever seen a shadow box, like those art shadow boxes, it's like that, but you're playing it. It's amazing.
Yeah.
There's shadows behind the 2D art, so it makes it all look. It still looks 2D, but it makes it look like separate layers of 2D like stacked up. It looks insane. I would love. Can I have one of these, please? This looks awesome.
So apparently the Looking Glass displays are like $400, but I'm
Okay.
assuming that you can just download the Holo VCS. It's a free plugin for the device.
That's awesome. So cool looking.
Says while the NES titles will run at 60 frames, only the supported pair will display depth and 3D effects currently. Also, it supports Pitfall for Atari 2600. So you can play Super Mario Brothers and Castlevania on it currently, but it potentially they can
else do you
add
need,
support
really?
for other games. Yeah, right. It's still, I mean, it's gimmicky, but if you have one already, heck, go download one.
Yeah, that thing's awesome. It looks really insane. It's worth
And
at least
that's
looking
on
up the
video. I
video
can only
for it.
imagine.
Yeah.
I can only imagine in person how much better it looks.
This one makes me sad, man.
Oh, yeah. Sega's selling the last of its arcades in Japan to Genda. I imagine that's how that's pronounced. Genda Inc.
Yeah.
Sega's getting out of the arcade business, which in the US, it's like, because we don't have a lot of arcades really floating around anymore.
Yes and no, because they're still going to make arcade games. They're just not going to own and operate the arcades.
Right.
Like the actual
Which in Japan,
retail
that's
locations.
a huge deal.
Yes,
in Japan, arcades are like they've been. It's almost like a casino, but for arcades, like the claw machines and the flashy lights and all the tokens. And for anybody that hasn't seen those machines and arcades on YouTube, yeah, like it looks really fun. But yeah, so it's a little bit. It's just kind of an end of an era. But
I think COVID really put the kibosh on arcades, man.
Yeah, one of my favorite things as an adult is barcades, and I haven't been to one in a long time.
They are fun.
Yeah.
We were supposed to get one like down the street, and they pulled out.
Of course they did.
Yeah.
Who doesn't pull out?
It's a good question.
So this next one was the last one that I put on here. I figured you'd appreciate it. Some race car photographer modded a Game Boy camera and took live shots at a race car event. It looks amazing. It looks like an old retro like Game Boy game with these shots. Like it's dope. So and there's a picture of him. So I'm guessing modded because he puts like a zoom lens on.
Yeah, some kind of a higher,
but he's
higher end lens.
Yeah, so he's using like an actual Game Boy, and then you can see the lens. So he's like taking action shots with the Game Boy camera, though. And what came out is actually, I think they're pretty cool pics.
Yeah, they are. I mean, they're definitely from a Game Boy, but they're way better than most Game Boy camera pics you've seen. Yeah, they're way better.
Wouldn't it be funny though if he like worked for a company and they're like, "So where are the shots for the event?" You're like, So I wanted to try an experiment. I brought this, and they're like, "What the fuck is that? Where's your camera?" This will be much better, trust me.
We'll get the 5 retro gamers and racing crossover.
Yeah. A 60 by 60, 200 pixel pictures, great.
Yeah, perfect. They'll love it.
How many there's probably, I don't know, like 2,500 pixels or something in here. There's a lot, but you can see.
I think it's 160p or 140p. So what's that? I don't know. It's not many.
What does the P stand for? 10, 1,000,
pixels.
100? 160 pixels. No, there's more than 160 there. Yeah. Somebody knows. Tweet at us. You got the next ones?
RetroTink. You have a RetroTink, right? You have a RetroTink 2X?
Not
Dude,
the 5X.
they just released new software for this thing that allows you to line double 720p up to 1440p. This is skirting the line of retro, right? Because what you're going to use this for is more modern consoles. What output at 720p? I think you can get the Wii U, the PS3, the Xbox 360. Maybe the Wii. Could the Wii do 720, or was it locked at 480?
We could do 720i. natively, and I think there are some games that could do 1080i or 540p. I think
So yeah, this is going to be a real boon for people who still playing like those systems, HDMI systems that played 720p, right? To get those scaled up to look better on a 4K TV. Like this is really going to be nice. Or even if you have a 1440p monitor, then you're talking like pixel perfection right there.
Right.
This I'm gonna tell you, Mike Chi, the guy who created the RetroTink, the guy is just pushing this thing so far. You know, it's an expensive device, but it's the best scaler that you can get for just about any system at this point. It does interlace content the best. It now does PlayStation 3, Xbox 360 the best. Like, it really is something special. You know, a couple of weeks ago we talked about that mode. Was it the mode? No, it was the scaler that's going to ship with a Switch that has a bunch of HDMI and stuff with it. Remember that?
Yes, I do remember that. I don't remember what it's called.
Can't remember what it's called, but like I was getting really excited about this thing. But the 5X, it just like he just keeps developing new and amazing features for this thing.
I'm a little sad now that I didn't pick up the 5X was like just announced when when I picked up my 2X.
Probably.
They had the 2X. There was like a 2X EX or something that I didn't get. This is the one, the 5X is the one that Ryan Niemiller picked up for his stuff that he's trying to do. So yeah.
Yeah, this thing it's really quite awesome. Unfortunately, the OSSC Pro has been delayed. Why can't I remember the name of that other one that we were talking about a couple of weeks ago? Anyhow, that one's expected this summer, and that one's going to include that fancy switch that'll include, like, you'll be able to chain just about any input you want into the thing. But they have said they won't be able to do 1440p line double 720. So
yeah, it's super cool.
Yeah.
Do you have a 5X?
No, I don't. But I think I'm going to get one.
I mean, you're saying it's skirting the line of retro, but I'd say 15 years is pretty retro at this point, wouldn't you?
I don't know, man, because the games look the fucking same that they do now. You know what I mean? It's like, I get it.
A lot of
they're
them,
old,
sure.
But they look the same. Like I was watching My Life in Gaming stream. They were testing this out, and they were playing Afterburner for the PlayStation 3. I can't remember the name of it, but it was a modern Afterburner that came out in like 2004, and it looked like a modern game. 2004. That can't be right. 2006, 2007. I don't remember, but it looked like a modern game, man. I'm like, it can't be retro just because it's old if it looks exactly the same as modern games.
Do you consider like PS2 retro?
More so, but in my heart, I don't really. Not really.
We might have to put a poll out there to see like how many years makes it retro, you know?
Yeah. I think a lot of it is going to be what you grew up with and, you know, what you came of age with. What really was like the thing when you were in like junior high school, you know?
Sure.
I am still interested in playing games from the PS1, PS2, PS3. My PS3 is hooked up to this TV right here. And I play it. Not at 1440p though.
There's a lot of really good like RPGs and stuff going back to PS1, PS2, PS3 that are all pretty retro style. Yeah, a lot of them just have like updated sprites and stuff, but they're still, you know, kind of that 2D kind of top-down view.
Yeah.
RPG. Nice.
What do you think PS3 is retro?
I do.
Yeah.
It's like 15 years. What was it? 2006?
I mean, I made YouTube videos using a PS3 and an Xbox 360.
Doesn't mean it's not retro.
Doesn't it?
I mean, what would it be like? 2 generations behind, 3 generations behind? Like, how many generations behind do we have to?
I don't think the generations make as much difference now as they used to, though.
Will at a certain point, like where's
Grand Theft Auto 5 was on the PS3. Is that a retro game?
What? Say it again.
Grand Theft Auto 5 was on the PS3. Is that a retro game?
Halo or Destiny was also on PS3.
Yeah, is that a retro game?
I'm kind of.
Interestingly, if you play the PS3 version of Destiny, then you'll be playing the year 2 version of Destiny, which is a different sandbox than what Destiny has if you go back and play it on the PS4.
You can't even play the original stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, PS3 was released November 17th, 2006. More than 15 and a half, almost 15 and a half years ago. Like, that's still almost half of my life. Almost.
Can't even drink yet. I think you got to be able to drink to be retro.
You got to be able to drink to be retro?
Yeah. You got to be able to saddle up to a bar and order a beer.
PS2.
PS2 definitely, I think, can do that.
Yeah, March 4th, 2000. People in the 2000s can drink now, Briar.
Yeah.
Have been for a year.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that is crazy. Anyhow, I need you to do me a favor. Click that link and talk me out of buying one of those.
How much do you want me to talk you out?
Pretty hard, man. I think my wife is gonna divorce me if I bring one of these things home. She is really dead set. So I shared a link with Jay. It's the arcade 1-up version of the Street Fighter Big Blue arcade cabinet. The Big Blue arcade cabinet is kind of notorious for being like this huge arcade cabinet that was obviously blue. I think it's shipped with like X-Men versus Street Fighter, Super Street Fighter, to a lot of the like Marvel versus Capcom games went in there. A lot of like the later 90s Capcom arcade stuff went in these big blue cabinets. And I don't know what it is about this cabinet, but it is just gorgeous. And I've had zero desire to get an arcade 1-up in my home until I saw this thing. And I just want it, man. It's $600.
500. 600. It's going to have 13 games on it.
Yeah, good games too.
Darkstalkers is even on there.
Yep.
Knights of the Round, which is Knights of the Round, I believe, is like a side-scrolling action game.
It's like a beat 'em up. Yeah.
Yeah. So
some RPG mechanics.
Games look amazing. The thing that I have a problem with a arcade 1-up, I've watched a couple of YouTube videos of people reviewing like the Simpsons machine and the Turtles machine and the X-Men machine, and they are not good. They say like stuff feels too cramped, like at least on the 4-person one, like they're not able to they're like hitting their hands and stuff while they're playing. The build quality doesn't feel all that great to justify the $600 price tag. Just from a build standpoint and from a quality standpoint, I say it's a pass.
Yeah.
Based on what I'm hearing and seeing from folks, like $600 is a lot of money, especially
they
for
have
arcade
online play though.
Yeah. You got to be one of like 1,500 people playing at any given time.
Those are hardcore 1,500 people though.
Yeah, they're not going to be a lot of people. I will say, yeah, the buttons just feel a little cramped. Like the button is literally impeding on the joystick area.
Yeah.
And I just imagine if you're using jabs with the joystick, you're going to be like hitting your hands and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, it'd be nicer if the control panel was a little wider.
If it were me, I'd wait for some reviews or go look at reviews to see if it'd be worth it.
The reviews are pretty good.
Like are they?
Yeah. A lot of people who bought it have upgraded the controls, like bought like, either competition style hat buttons or Japanese buttons.
You can do that to these machines? You can.
Oh yeah.
So, but that's probably another $100.
Less for me because I probably have a box of buttons in that closet right there. There's been a lot of arcade stick modifications around these parts.
True. But you've
Well,
talked to your wife already, and she's like, no.
Oh man, she's like, well, I was watching a video one time, and she walks in the room and she says, "Oh, that guy doesn't have a wife." I'm like, "How do you know that?" She says, "Because if he did, she would have left him when he brought that thing home." I'm like, that sounds like a hint. Nah, probably not.
If my son were older, and we had more room, I would consider it. But like right now, that would just take up space in our house.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I might get this thing and keep it out in the garage.
Just
She
leave
won't
it
even
on
see it
all
out
day.
there.
Who are you gonna play it with? Online people or
Anybody who
friends?
walks by.
Hey, asshole! I challenge you.
You
I'm gonna
cannot
Hadouken.
defeat my E Honda, you motherfucker.
Ho.
I don't know, man. I am tempted to buy this thing. The arcade machine bug, I don't know why. All of a sudden, it's kind of got me. And I've been looking at this. I've been looking at actual like full size big blue cabinets, which you can get for like less than $1,000, but you're gonna have to fix it up.
I bet
I've
you
been
can
looking at
probably
multicades.
mod. You can probably mod these things to have other stuff on them, right?
Oh yeah, 100%. I can put my Mister right in it. Yeah, you can stick your Mister in anything.
Oh, I bet you can.
Mm-hmm. Jay, Blaster Master.
Yeah.
This was your pick.
Yep. I had a realization with Blaster Master.
Yeah.
That the thing that I remember most of this game is the intro and
Yeah.
the music and the first level.
Yeah. I don't know that as a child I ever played past the first level.
Yeah, I don't think I did either. Still haven't.
Oh.
So for those who don't know what Blaster Master is a Sunsoft game from 1988. And it's kind of it's got kind of two different games in one. The first one, you're in this like little tank that can jump and you can shoot forward, above, and then behind you if you turn around. And you can get power-ups for your tank and better weapons and all sorts of stuff to be able to traverse these things. You can like climb on walls with your tank and float and stuff eventually. And then the second half of this game is kind of a third person behind the little tiny character with the giant head. And it's almost like Guardian Legend style shooter, kind of Zelda dungeon crawler-esque style game. There's not a lot of those kind of dungeons or whatever are not super depth like deep or anything, but it molds those two games into one and created this very difficult but satisfying experience. Platforming's really tight, gunplay's really tight. It's not as frustrating as like Ninja Gaiden, but
no.
The brutality of only having 3 continues is awful.
There were two things that struck me as being hard about this game. The first one was the bosses. The bosses are, if you don't know the trick to beating the bosses, and there's a glitch to beating some of the bosses, and then there are like tricks to like being more successful. Like you can upgrade your gun, which I don't think I ever knew before playing through this time, is you can upgrade your gun when you're in like on foot mode, but every time you get hit, it downgrades your gun. Which sucks. It's like the worse you're doing, the less powerful you are. But also, so aside from like that being difficult, also just figuring out where the fuck you have to go is extraordinarily difficult. Until I found out that the manual tells you. Like I should have read this is one of those ones, RTFM. Read the fucking manual because it literally tells you like to get to, so like level 1, 2, and 3 are sequential, but to get to level 4, you have to go back through 3, 2, 1 and find it over there. And then the same thing happens, I believe, for level 7, where you go through like 4, 5, 6, and then have to backtrack through all those levels to find it in like level 2, which is really bizarre. And it tells you that in the manual, but I mean, who reads the manual?
It's very much like Metroid in that way, right? Like they almost modeled it after that, where you can't go to certain areas of the levels until you have certain abilities. And so then when you get those abilities, you have to go back to the areas
Yeah,
that you couldn't access before.
yeah. I remember as a kid really hating the on foot sections, but playing it over the last couple of weeks, I didn't mind the on foot parts at all. Like I found them actually somewhat charming. In the sprite that is used is so big and he's not particularly well animated, but somehow full of charm in a way that I really kind of dug it. It was like, I think the main character's name is Jason. Like, story for this game is a bit fucking crazy because
How do you like frogs?
this well, you wrote down what was the name of this game in Japan?
Super Planetary War Chronicle Meta Fight, or just Meta Fight.
So it had its own story, right, in
Yeah,
Japan.
different. Yeah.
But when they localized it in the U.S. or for English speaking countries, is they did this like weird like thing where this boy like loses his frog. The frog like finds this like thing of radiation in the boy's backyard and then falls down a pit. And then the boy goes down the pit after it and finds this fucking like tank and just starts fucking
Just in his backyard,
getting after that frog in his tank. He's gotta go find that
get
frog.
the metal detector out. Yeah.
And then you actually end up fighting the frog as a boss twice and killing it, which is somewhat heartbreaking.
Yeah.
But then, spoiler alert, at the end of the game, the frog is fine.
One of those weird situations where you defeat something and then it just.
And I found it to be fairly interesting that the final boss is actually on the cover of the box.
Yep.
Like, I had no
Spoiler
idea.
alert.
Yeah, I had no idea that was the final boss.
What is that thing, anyways? It's like
he's like the radiation king or something like that. Plutonium boy or something like that. I can't remember. He's named
Plutonium boy?
Yeah, something like that. The plutonium
Kill
boss
me
or
now.
plutonium king.
Kill
He
me
is.
now.
But I mean, that's the last boss. He's right on the cover.
Yeah. Weird.
Did you like the
Doesn't
game?
he take up
Did
like
you
half
enjoy
the
your time
screen,
with it?
too?
He's not that big. He's a background. They use that trick that some NES games where they black out the entire background and then they just move it around. They like the boss is the background, and then they just move the background around so it looks like you're fighting something very huge, but in actuality, it's just the background.
Yeah.
Which makes hit detection kind of a pain in the ass.
If I had more time, I probably would have gotten a guide and tried to actually beat it and maybe used the glitch and stuff. The problem was playing through it. I tried to play through things organically, but with something like this or something like Metroid, it's really difficult to get past a certain point because one, like Briar said, your weapon downgrades. So I feel like you can't really kill certain enemies without a stronger weapon at all. Like you got this little pea shooter. One of the reviews that I read actually was like, if it downgrades, you get like a pea shooter of mild annoyance for the enemies. Like, ow, what are you doing? Stop!
It doesn't go all the way across the screen, so you have to get like really close to your enemies, which is really dangerous.
Yeah, and then so trying to experience it that way, getting hit with and I'm the kind of gamer when I get hit with the end of continues or the start back at the very beginning of a level when you've spent 15 or 20 minutes going through something, I just kind of give up.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to go back to something that just is that brutal.
Yeah.
So after a few of those, I was like, I think I'm done. Like I just I just couldn't handle it anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that.
But if I had a guide that told me where all the power-ups were and kind of the best route to take and stuff like that, I probably would have enjoyed it more.
Yeah, that's what I did. I did use a guide, and it actually, I think it took me about 2.5 hours from start to finish to beat the game. The guide was, I think it was a YouTube channel. I think it was called "You Can Beat Video Games." I should check because it was a really good guide. It gave a little bit of history about the game, and then it got into like, it walked you through the strategy and like kind of, it was really good. But there are some parts that were hard even with the guy. Like, there is a recurring enemy in this game that's like a slime that it often drops from the ceiling, and you have one shot to kill this thing. And that is when it is exactly like your gun level before it hits the ground, because once it's on the ground, it is now below the gun. Like, you cannot shoot low enough to kill this thing. So you can use a special weapon. Like, once you get the lightning upgrade, you can jump over it and kind of shoot the lightning, or you can get like a homing missile that'll kill it. But sometimes the homing missile won't even kill it. So, and like, if there's a couple of those things on the screen, they could take you down really fast.
Yeah.
It's an early NES game. It's not that early NES game, but it's an NES game that it's got some rough edges, but some of it is just so satisfying, right? It's like the shooting feels really good. The
music's
moving
amazing.
the tank, the music is amazing. Moving the tank feels really good. Like, the way the wheels are animated to make it like looks like the tank has suspension, I think is really fascinating. Like, I enjoyed the game. I would definitely play it only with a walkthrough at this point, because you're just gonna spend so much time trying to figure out like what the fuck is going on here.
Yeah, I mean, when some of the interviews that I read, the design of it, they were just trying to do something revolutionary. They were trying to make things way better, way prettier, way faster. Like, they were just, that was their whole motivation. Let's do something that's never been done before. I mean, this happened often back then, but they really were trying to push the envelope. And it's interesting to me how it wasn't a popular game in Japan at all.
Yeah.
Like, and it wasn't till 10 years later that one of the developers was like, I didn't even know that this was popular in the US.
It was
And
really popular in the US.
Yeah. And somebody commented to him, you would have been a, world famous game designer had you been American, basically, because it's in the top game lists of a lot of different magazines and stuff. And some people had it like, there was one, I can't remember what it was. It might have been like IGN had it like number 6 of all time or something like that, behind like Super Mario Brothers 3, Zelda, Link,
All
Super Mario
time
Brothers 2.
for the
Like,
NES?
it was like they had it like really high. I was like, whoa! It was
For the
like
NES or for like
crazy.
all time,
Yes.
all time?
NES. Like Nintendo Power listed it as 63rd in the 100 best games of all time.
Wow.
In 97. Obviously that was like around the time N64 came out and stuff, so that was before that era. But I mean,
There was nothing on the N64 better than this.
just, I don't know. It's very pretty. It's a very pretty game. The music is what grabs me, to be honest.
It's good.
That intro music with the scene with the car and all that stuff, like, it's so iconic to me as a kid. Just the intro stuff. I don't remember getting very far in this game, to be honest, as a kid.
No, I don't either. I know I never owned this game, but I remember it was one of those games that like every kid you went over to his house, he had it. You know what I'm saying? It's like it was just like around. And I remember playing it, but I never got far in it. Because you'd like play a game at a friend's house, you get to the first level, then you'd go play football or something. I don't know, whatever you did when you were a kid.
Mom comes and turns off the game, tells you to go outside.
Yeah, who knows? But yeah, I mean, I enjoyed my playthrough of it. I found it to be, once I understood like the rules and the mechanics and how to fight the bosses, like, I did enjoy it. But it's kind of brutal in the fact that, your tank Sophia gets so powerful.
Sophia the Third,
Sophia 3, which in the Japanese version was the name of the planet you're from.
Yeah. It's
Oddly. So the tank is so powerful and so cool, but you only fight bosses on foot. And like, you don't feel nearly as cool and powerful on foot. And that mechanic of losing your weapon power-ups if you get hit is just very punishing. It's very punishing.
Yeah, by the way, the grenade, the glitch for bosses, for those who want to play this game or haven't yet, is you can throw a grenade at the boss, and while the grenade is doing its damage, you hit pause. And after about 15 seconds, the grenade will have done the work while you're sitting there paused, not taking any damage, because like the grenade will continue to do damage on the boss, but you're in pause mode. So a lot of people would use that to beat bosses. or
Yeah.
defeat certain bosses. Did you
And
use
the bosses
that
are
trick at
hard.
all?
No, because I was using this walkthrough that showed like different, like,
Tactics and stuff.
yeah, still not like legit straight up. Like there was one, the final boss, who is on the cover of the game I mentioned before, but there's a second version of him. There's like, he's got like a second form, and if you just stand in the bottom right hand side of the screen, he can't hit you. So you just sit there and shoot him. Like, so it's like, I don't know. It's one of those, right? It's like, it reminds me of Dark Souls a little bit, in that like everything's really fucking hard until you figure it out, and then you're like, oh.
Mhm.
Yeah, I like this game. I don't know if I'd put it in top 10 NES games, but I don't know. I might get in my top 20. I could see that.
I'd say top 20, 25, yeah, something like that. I mean, there's like what 600 and some odd NES games.
Yeah, there's a lot of shit in there, though. Like any console, there's a ton of shit.
Yeah. There's also a book from Scholastic Books that was created part of the World of Power series that was made of this, and it was basically for anybody that's played like the Master or the Blaster Master Zero stuff or any of the newer games they've done. There was a middle plot to Blaster Master that didn't exist that had to get created for that book because like they had the beginning and the end, but like nothing in the middle was created at all.
So they continued the plot from that Scholastic book in the new Blaster Master Zero games?
Just in the like canon of Blaster Master. So I don't know specifically, but yeah.
So there are a bunch of other Blaster Master games. There's the Genesis one, which apparently isn't, it looks good, but it's not well regarded. It doesn't play very well, apparently. There's a Game Boy Advance one that
Blaster Master Boy.
That looks kind of neat.
I think Game Boy one.
I think there's another one that it looks more like the regular Blaster Master. It's more. I can't remember the name of it. Anyhow, there's a PlayStation one that's a 3D game where you navigate like a 3D world with the tank, which looks kind of neat. There's a bunch of them.
Game Boy Color, I think, is the enemy below, and then Blaster Master Boy's on regular Game Boy.
Okay. Blaster Master Boy.
Which the cover of that, it has the your little spaceman as the O in Boy.
I think that one's more like a Bomberman game than a Blaster Master game.
Honestly. Probably.
Yeah. Also, having grown up with this game and also the third, what was that Mel Gibson movie? Mad Max movie with Master Blaster. Very confusing times in my life.
Yeah.
Is it Blaster Master or Master Blaster?
Have you played any of the new ones, Blaster Master Zero?
I own 2 of them. I've played about 20 minutes of the first one. I just haven't gotten to. I want to. They're fun, but I haven't gotten to play them yet. No.
Yeah. They've gotten pretty good reviews, though, I think.
Yes, very good. And they have a story that makes sense. The story in this. Can I spoil the ending, Jay? Can I spoil it?
Sure.
Okay, so I told you how that begins, right? Chasing your frog, somehow like finds this hole. Well, there's nothing in between other than the fact that you have to kill said frog twice. Like, that's heartbreaking, right? And then you find out that like the last boss, apparently the Plutonium King or whatever the fuck his name was, who mutated your frog, you kill him, and then at the end of it, your hair turns blue. You watch the castle fall. What fucking castle? You've been in a cave the whole time. It's like, I think, and then your frog like appears on your tank. So I think they just like superimposed for the American version that frog on your tank just to tie it in with the beginning of the game. But like the blue hair and like the boss and everything, I think that's all from the Japanese game.
Probably.
It doesn't make any goddamn sense. It is
frog's name is Fred, by the way.
Fred
the
sticks
frog.
It to you, man. He is a son of a bitch of a boss, especially that
Fred
second
the
time
fucking
around.
Frog. Yeah. He's got a long tongue.
Yeah. He's got some hella badass attacks, like those flaming fireballs that like track you around. Fred comes hard.
Oh yeah.
Is that it for Blaster Master? Anything else we want to say?
I believe so.
I like this game. I'd recommend at least checking it out. I'd probably
Yeah.
wouldn't even bother if you didn't get a walkthrough of some sort, though.
Yeah. If you want to actually get very far.
Yeah, because it is kind of obtuse.
Yeah. Kind of like Bionic Commando or Metroid or whatever, where it's just very beneficial to have kind of walkthrough of some sort.
Yeah.
You got any pickups, Briar? See you looking around.
I have Blaster Master. I got it in a box. It was supposed to have a manual in it. It did not have the manual, which really bit me in the ass in this one. I was gonna get it, but I was like, I'm sure you'll show it. It's the same thing.
I actually picked this up, I think within the last year, 6 months or so, because I was just there's two print run variations. There's the one with the round seal, which I assume is the first print, and then there's the one with the oval seal. And so I'd been on the lookout for a good round seal version of this for a while, and then one popped up. But yeah, so for those who are watching the video, Sunsoft, like this is how I felt about the aim. We didn't talk about how the gun is off center when you're behind the character. It's in the right hand, so you kind of have to you kind of have to be to the left side a little bit so that your arm is going straight.
Yeah,
right?
and if something's on the left wall, you can't shoot it.
Yeah.
Well, until you get the like upgraded gun that does like the wavy thing.
Where's my switch hand button? So yeah, you didn't have any other pickups?
No, that was it.
Okay, I got a bunch of stuff.
Okay.
I don't know if you wanted to try to do the live thing again, or should I just go through these?
That was so hard.
I was like, that was kind of convoluted a little bit. All right, we'll start with the SNES. I got some carts. So basically, I did another big load to DK Oldies and got some trade credit. So I picked up some stuff from them. They're like every other retro store. The majority of their stuff is priced high from the market, but if you're patient and you're looking in the right spots, you can get things priced around where the market is. And so I used my credit. So and I did kind of figure out some stuff about these games, so we can talk about them for a second. First one for SNES is called Prehistoric Man, and this is like, it almost is like a Joe and Mac kind of sort of game. It's not great, but it's solid. It's a Titus game, and this is the one that also made they're the developers that made Superman 64, I think.
Ooh.
So they say that this is like the best game that developer ever made.
That's not really saying much.
Yeah, but you're basically like a caveman. It's like a side-scrolling platform. It seemed kind of interesting and fun. Gun Force, which is a really solid, not amazing, but solid shoot 'em up game, kind of like Gradius style, made by IREM, and they made some other games too. That had solid reviews, kind of in the 7 range, similar to Prehistoric Man. Actually, wait. No! I mixed the games up. No, I was thinking of Thunder Force. Thunder Force was the one that was the shmup, and it had solid reviews, made by Sega. That was the solid one. Gun Force is fucking awful. Gun Force is, you're basically like a robot man. It almost looks like the Terminator games from SNES, where you're just like plotting and slow and just like, and it like every review is like, this game's horrible. Just awful. Side-scrolling shooter, looks kind of like Contra, but it's terrible. And then Rocky Rodent for the SNES, which actually looks really fun.
Mm-hmm.
It has a different mechanic where you're this rodent, looks kind of like a squirrel chinchilla mix or something like that.
Sure.
And you have interchangeable hair. So your weapon is
like
your
a chinchilla
head.
does.
So you start out with like this red kind of mohawk, and you're literally like, in order to attack enemies, you're like headbutting them with the hair, but you can have interchangeable hats or like heads of hair that do different things. One of them's like a grapple that you can grapple on things and you're like swinging to and from stuff. Another one can like shoot like these like blades. It's like a boomerang blade thing. It just, I don't know. It looked kind of wacky and fun. Got decent reviews. So I like obscure games like that. So I picked up those for the SNES. What else did I get from them? Oh, no, I'll do these first. I had the case and manuals and everything for this Castlevania Dawn of Sorrow for the DS, but I got
Yeah.
the cart from DK Oldies to complete this.
Nice.
So I'm just now starting to get into DS collecting. So
is that an expensive game?
I was like 35 cart only, but like 60 to 70 complete. Something like that. So not too bad. I did a pretty large trade where I traded Pokemon Gold box and manual, Castlevania double pack box and manual, and Leaf Green Player's Choice box and inserts for like 6 complete in box games, just like the box and manuals. Metroid Prime Hunters for DS was part of that. Chrono Trigger for DS, which is a big hit.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I hear.
Yeah,
it's like a good version
they say
of Chrono
that this
Trigger.
is the best way to play Chrono Trigger for those that haven't yet. I've played, I don't know, a dozen to 15 hours of this game. I haven't beat it though. Might have played like 20 hours, but it's a
play
pretty
on
long
the DS
game.
or on the Super Nintendo?
No, I played it on a PSP, a modded PSP. So it was the SNES version back in the day. Other stuff that was part of that trade. F-Zero GP Legend and Mario vs. Donkey Kong for Game Boy Advance complete in box.
Mario versus Donkey Kong. What's that?
So I actually played this as a kid. It's kind of in Donkey Kong's world. And so you're Mario going through Donkey Kong's world, kind of like the original Donkey Kong, but it's more upscaled and there's like puzzles and stuff you have to solve and different things. But it was a really good game, like 8s, 9s, and quite fun. But it's one of those ones that gets pretty unforgivingly difficult towards the end. Like some of the puzzles are longer, and you got to get these. I think you have to get these keys and like I think they had those in the original Donkey Kong games, right? Where you had to like get the keys. At least what was it, Donkey Kong Jr. or something?
Sounds right.
Donkey Kong.
Don't really have a whole lot of familiarity with those old games.
Where you had to get like the key, and then you had to take the key to open the door. It was like, I think that's how it was. That's what I remember. Whether that's perfectly accurate or not, I'm not 100%. Oh yeah, you got to track down keys. Yeah. It is the same. And then F-Zero GP Legend is like a F-Zero game with a campaign.
Oh,
it's got
nice.
a story. So neither of these are super expensive, but pretty good games. I got this on eBay. Mega Man Battle Network complete in box, which I had never played the Battle Network games at all. There's a bunch of them. There's a lot of handheld Mega Man games. It's crazy.
Are there? Makes sense.
Yeah, Battle Network 2, Battle Network 3, White, Blue, and then there's just all sorts of, there's at least 5 or 6 on GBA, and then there's a ton on DS. I was able to complete this. I had the box for a while.
I had that when I was a kid. I might still have that.
Manual. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Fall of the Foot Clan, which is the first one for Game Boy. They have 3.
Yeah.
The first 2 are not really super hard to get, but the third one's super expensive.
Yeah. That's also not a great game, but fun anyway.
Yeah. Well, this is kind of sort of like a mashup between 1 and 2 for NES, I feel like.
Okay.
I don't know. Maybe I'm overstepping. I haven't played it in a long time.
I haven't either. I don't think I played it since it was like a new game.
Yeah. Going back to the trade that I did, the last 2 games I got were Burger Time for NES, which the reason I picked this up, not the best game in the world, but kind of fun. Wiferton. My wife, this was one of the handful of games that she had as a kid. So
Burger Time?
Between this and Disney's Magical Kingdom that I'm still trying to get complete in box. But Burger Time has been around since like Atari times, and it's really not much different. It was an arcade game. They've made actually a new Switch game for Burger Time that I got to test at PAX West, which is pretty fun. They made it. They turned it in like a party game with up to 4 players.
That makes sense. Cool. I played the arcade version on the Mister, and I was having fun with it. I put a good like 45 minutes into it one night, just like
Yeah.
Fucking burger
It's tough.
timing it up. Yeah.
Yeah, tough game.
And Tapper, food-based video games.
I never played Burger Time as a kid. Like not
Oh, me
until
neither.
and not until Wiferton, my wife, that she's like, yeah, I loved Burger Time as a kid. I was like, all right, we'll just play it. And then like Dr. Mario is one of the other ones. She kicks my ass in Dr. Mario just because it was like one of the 3 or 4 games that she played as a kid.
Yeah.
And the last game from the big trade that I did, Friday the 13th for NES, which was the big hitter. It's it's not super expensive, but a more expensive game. And I looked at Angry Video Game Nerd did a video on this,
Uh-huh.
and it's
I bet he
one
loved
of those like painfully awful. Look who developed it.
it. LJN. I don't know if they
Known
made
for
any
quality.
good video games. LJN.
But it's just hilarious, like the video watching this, and he's like,
I love the box art though. The box art is really good because it's got Jason, right? And then it's got like the black bars on the side, but then behind Jason, it's just got this like 90s fucking like design neon. Like who the fuck knows? It's just like, why is that there? It's awesome though. It's fucking cool. That's why it's there.
Yeah, I love how they blow up Jason and he looks all pixelated and shit.
Yeah. Yeah. That must have been like a screenshot from a movie, right? From a VHS tape.
Yeah, pretty much. But like the first thing that the Angry Video Game Nerd says, he's like, who wouldn't want a bunch of R-rated movies mashed up into a game for kids? Like,
it's a
or
great
hack
idea.
and slash. It's great. Yeah, super, super good idea. Good job.
In all
And
honesty,
then-
though, all kids were watching those movies. Like their parents didn't know about it.
Yeah.
Their parents didn't know about it, but we were watching them.
Yeah.
Or maybe,
Yeah, true.
do you remember back in those days? Is they would also play those movies on TV, but they would just trim them. So all of the gory stuff, all of like the nudity was just taken out so that they could play it on TV too.
Just a bunch of screams, and then it goes to the next scene.
Yeah, they didn't
We have
make
to
any
figure
fucking
out what
sense.
the
Not
hell
that those
happened.
movies were any good to begin with, but they made less sense when you chopped about 30% of the movie out.
Yeah, right. And then the last game that I got, this was an eBay pickup. Not super expensive, but Flying Dragon,
Oh, hell
the
yeah.
Secret Scroll for NES. The reason I picked this up is because apparently this is a more rare print of it. The red box, there was 2 printings of it. So this was and it was in really good shape. I knew nothing about this game, and I did some digging on it, and it didn't look fantastic. It actually looked super confusing.
Yeah.
But then when I read reviews of it, they're like, it's actually a really underappreciated game, and it's really good because there's a whole bunch of mechanics that have really never been done before or since in this, and a lot of different like game modes and whatnot. And it actually had pretty good reviews, so I might actually check it out. But it's not a super expensive game. Like this is one of those games you can get for under $10 card only, probably.
It looks a little bit like a cross between Kung Fu and like
Mega Man almost or something.
like the second Zelda on the NES. Link.
Yeah, it does. The sprites look like that for sure.
Man, he jumps high though.
Yeah. So that's it.
That's a pretty good selection, Jay.
A lot of stuff. So what are we playing next episode?
I have a choice.
What are we playing this
Choice for you.
Uh-oh.
Okay, the first
Never
choice.
ends well.
No, it's good. Both of these games. One of these games is considered a best of for the system, and one of them is
Okay.
not. But I played it when I was a kid, and I liked it. But everybody hates on it now, so it's just one of those like, was it really that bad, or was I really that much of an idiot when I was a kid?
Oh no. You want me to ruin your childhood?
Yeah. So perfect. So number 1 is Fester's Quest for the NES. Not a modern beloved game, but when I was a kid, I enjoyed it. I believe I rented it for like 2 weeks in a row and beat it. I can't remember though. I can't remember if I beat it or not. You know what I mean? Like, it was a long time ago. Choice number 2 is Rondo of Blood for the TurboGrafx CD. Now, I know you don't have a TurboGrafx CD or a PC Engine CD. You might have a copy of this game. I don't know. You're a crazy bastard like that. But this game you can play on the PlayStation 4 for I think around $10 or $20. It's perfectly available. Also, Limited Run is currently selling a physical copy of this game, so you can get it that way. So I was going to give you
Isn't
a
there
choice.
another way to play this? It's on like a collection of some sort.
It's on a collection for, I believe, the PS Vita.
Oh, okay, that's the Dracula X collection.
I think
Or
so.
the Vita. That's the PSP. It's the Dracula X collection.
Okay, I get those two mixed up.
Like we've already done Castlevania, so I got to go Fester's Quest.
Fester's Quest. All right, done. I'm looking forward to this. I think this game is misremembered.
This is gonna be awful. 2
No,
weeks he's
I
gonna
don't
be
think
like,
so.
I don't know what I was thinking.
I remember you needed a turbo controller to play this game. You needed it.
Well, we have those in the.
That's true enough. I have an NES Advantage that I will be breaking out with my selectable turbo dial to get the advantage in this game.
That's the joystick, right?
That's the full-size joystick.
I might pick one of the. They have a complete in box one down at my retro store for like $50 that I've been eyeing for a long time.
That's a lot to pay for an NES Advantage.
Complete in box.
Yeah, but you're going to take it out of the box and play with it.
Or I can leave it in the box and put it on the shelf. I've been on the lookout for a complete copy of this too, so it's good motivation to pick it
Oh,
up.
okay. You don't own it? It's not currently in your collection?
I don't think I own it.
Okay.
It's not an expensive game at all.
I own every video game ever made until about 1999, maybe 2002. I'm not sure. But if you ever need to pull veto power, just let me know. Like if a game is too hard to get or whatever.
Oh no, this is not hard to get. This is also a Sunsoft game, so 2 weeks in a row, Sunsoft.
Hey, Sunsoft was a banger back in the day. They had a lot of good games.
They did.
Someday we got to do Batman too for the NES.
The original one? I have that one, yeah.
Yeah, we got to do that. I have that one
game.
as well. Yeah, Fester's Quest. Okay, I'm excited. I think it's better than people say it is, honestly.
The box art, though.
That's great box art.
For those who don't know, it's basically a guy who looks like my uncle with lipstick and a spider on his forehead. And I'm not sure if he's like, it almost looks like an O face or just he's like this weird, like almost Batman-esque smirk on his face.
He looks kind of like Curly from the Three Stooges.
A little bit. It's like the ghost of Curly. What do you mean? Oh.
Just remember, I offered you Rondo of Blood.
I like punishment. I'm excited though. Should be fun.
Oh, my Launchbox is ready for a new version. I got to upgrade Launchbox.
I don't even know what that is. So
It's the front end that I use to house my emulators on my PC.
Oh.
Oh, remember I was telling you about that main project I was working on?
Yeah.
What a slog. You really got to go into every game and set up like multiple controllers. Because like sometimes you feel like playing with an arcade stick. Sometimes you feel like playing with a gamepad. And like if you use one gamepad, like a 8-bit Dewey gamepad or an Xbox Series X gamepad, like it's different. It's fucked. It's completely
Can you
fucked.
just add them whenever you want to play with that stuff?
You can, but it's a pain in the ass and you need to pull a keyboard out to hit the tab button.
Or you could just spend hours and hours and hours setting it up with the intent of probably not using 90% of it.
Why you gotta hurt me like this, Jay?
Saying. Use it as you need it. Save yourself fun. I don't know.
Why you gotta hurt me like this? All right, Jay. Should we wrap this one up?
Absolutely.
All right, man. 2 weeks we'll be playing Fester's Quest for that Nintendo Entertainment System. What are you up to in the next couple weeks?
Be streaming on Twitch 5 nights a week at JSniperton. You can also find me on Twitter and YouTube. Gonna be prepping for Witch Queen.
Yes.
Coming out in 2 weeks.
Yeah, that is
Actually, our next episode
rapidly
is
approaching.
on Witch Queen release day.
We should probably maybe think about postponing that episode.
I don't know because there's gonna be. Would you rather sit in a queue all fucking day?
Yeah, good point.
Or do you
It
want to have
is
a
going to be
podcast?
that. You know, they've
Yeah.
pre-sold 1 million copies of that.
It's crazy.
Yeah. There's definitely going to be a queue. You're right about that.
At least the first 3 or 4 hours are probably just going to be people frustrating that they can't get in.
Yeah. Do we know what time it's coming out?
Within a few hours of normal reset, I would guess, depending on maintenance.
Like 1 o'clock in the afternoon Eastern time, probably like, what's that, like 10 a.m. for you?
Yeah.
All right, we'll talk about it. We'll pull an audible if we need to.
Sure. Sounds good.
Thank you guys for watching. Have fun playing Fester's Quest. I think it's better than people give it credit for. I remember it being good. I swear to God.
It's not the remembers.
I was 7 years old. I thought it was good, though. Bye, guys. Have an awesome night.
Bye.
See ya.